Hello littles, I'm Amma. Why don't you put on your softies and join me for a story? I have my hot chocolate and my storybooks all ready to go. So let's begin. Hello littles, today we are going to read The Snowman by Hans Christian Andersen. It is so bitterly cold that my whole body creaks, said the snowman. The wind is wonderfully invigorating. How that glowing thing up there is staring at me. He meant the sun, who was just setting. He shall not make me wink. I will hold my pieces tightly, for you must know that he had 2 large triangular pieces of red tile in the place of eyes in his head, and an old rake represented his mouth, and therefore he also had teeth. He was born amidst the cheering of the boys, and greeted by the tinkling of sleigh bells and the cracking of whips. The sun set, the full moon rose large, round and clear on the blue sky. There he is again on the other side, said the snowman. Of course he fancied the sun was showing himself again. I thought I had cured him of staring. Now let him hang there, and give me a light, that I may see myself. I wish I knew how to move. I should so much like to walk about, if I could. I should like to go down and slide on yonder ice, as I have seen the boys do, but I do not know how. I can't even walk. Away, away, barked the old dog in the yard. He was somewhat hoarse, and could no longer well pronounce the proper wow, wow. He had become hoarse when he used to live indoors and lie all day under the warm stove. The sun will soon teach you how to run. I have seen him teach your predecessor last year, and his predecessors before him. Away, away, they are all gone. I do not understand you, friend, said the snowman. Do you mean to say that she up there is to teach me walking? He meant the moon. I have certainly seen her walk a little while ago, and I looked her straight in the face, but now she comes creeping from the other side. You are dreadfully ignorant, replied the dog. But that is no wonder, for you have only just been put up. She whom you see up there is the moon. He who you have seen going off a little while ago was the sun. He is returning tomorrow, and is sure to teach you how to run down into the ditch. We shall soon have a change in the weather. I feel it by the pain I have in my left hind leg. The weather is going to change. I do not understand him, said the snowman, but it strikes me that he speaks of something disagreeable. He was so staring at me, and afterwards went off. The sun, as he calls him, is not my friend. So much I know for certain. Away, away, barked the dog, turned 3 times around himself, and crept back into his kennel to sleep. The weather really changed. On the next morning, the whole country was enveloped in a dense fog. Later on, an icy wind began to blow. It was bitter cold, but when the sun rose, what a splendor! Trees and bushes were covered with frost. They looked like a wood of white coral. All the branches seemed to be strewn over with shiny white blossoms. The many delicate boughs and twigs, which are in the summer completely hidden by the rich foliage, were all visible now. It looked very much like a snowy white cobweb. Every twig seemed to send forth rays of white light. The birch tree moved its branches in the wind, and the trees, as the trees do in the summer. It was marvelously beautiful to look at. And when the sun rose, the whole glittered and sparkled as if diamonds had been strewn over them, while on the snowy carpet below, large diamonds or innumerable lights seemed to shine even more white than the snow. How charming, said a young girl who stepped out into the garden with a young man. Both stopped near the snowman, and they looked admiringly at the glittering trees. There is no more beautiful scene in the summer, she said, with her eyes beaming. And we can't possibly have such a fellow there in the summer, replied the young man, pointing at the snowman. The girl laughed, nodded at the snowman, and they both walked over to the snow, so that it creaked under their feet like starch. Who are these 2? asked the snowman of the dog. You are longer in the yard than I. Do you know them? Certainly I do, replied the dog. She has stroked me, and he has given me a meat bone. I shall never bite these 2. But what are they? asked the snowman again. Lovers, was the dog's answer. They are going to live together in one kennel and gnaw on the same bone. Away, away. Are they beings like ourselves? asked the snowman. They are members of the master's family, replied the dog. Of course one knows very little if one has only been born yesterday. I can see that from you. I have the age and the knowledge, too. I know all in the house. I also knew a time when I was not obliged to be chained up here in the cold. Away, away. The cold is splendid, said the snowman. Go on, tell me more. But you must not rattle so with the chain, for you make me shudder if you do. Away, away, barked the dog. They say I was once a dear little boy. Then I used to lie on a chair covered with velvet up in the mansion, or sit on the mistress's lap. They kissed me upon the mouth and wiped my paws with an embroidered handkerchief. They called me Ami, dear sweet Ami. But later on I became too big for them, and they gave me to their housekeeper. Thus I came down into the basement. You can look at the window from the place where you are standing. You can look down into the room where I was one day master, for master I was at the housekeeper's. The rooms were not so grand as above in the mansion, but they were more homely. I was not continually touched and pulled about by the children, and the food was just as good, if not better, than the mansion. I had my own cushion, and there was a stove in the room, which is at this time of year the best thing in the world. I used to creep under the stove. There was enough room for me. I am still dreaming of this stove. Away, away. Does a stove look nice? Asked the snowman. Does it resemble me? The very contrary of you. It is as black as a raven and has a long neck with a broad brass band around it. It eats so much fuel that the fire comes out of its mouth. One must keep at its side, close by or underneath it. Their one is very comfortable. Perhaps you can see it from your place. The snowman looked and noticed something, brightly polished with a broad brass band around it. In its lower parts the fire was visible. A strange feeling came over the snowman. He had no idea what it was, nor could he explain the cause of it, but all the beings, even those who are not snowmen, know it. Why did you leave her? Asked the snowman, for he had a notion that the stove was a woman. How could you leave such a place? I was compelled to, replied the dog. They threw me out of the house and fastened me up here with this chain. I had bitten the youngest son of the squire in the leg because he pushed away the bone which I was gnawing with his foot. Bone for bone, I think. But this they took very ill of me, and from this time forward I was chained up, and I have lost my voice too. Do you not hear how hoarse I am? Away, away! I can no longer bark like the other dogs. Away, away! That is how it ended. The snowman was no longer listening to him. He looked unswervingly at the basement into the housekeeper's room, where the stove was standing on its 4 iron legs, as high as the snowman. What a strange noise I hear within me, he said. Shall I never get in there? It is such an innocent wish of mine, and they say innocent wishes are sure to be fulfilled. I must go in there and lean against her, even if I must break the window. You will never get in there, said the dog, and if you come close to the stove, you are gone. Away, away. I am already now as good as gone, replied the snowman. I believe I am fainting. The snowman was all day looking into the window. In the dawn, the room appeared still more inviting. A gentle light shined out of the stove, not like that of the moon or the sun, but such light as only a stove can produce after being filled with fuel. When the door of the room was opened, the flame burst out at the mouth of the stove. That was its custom, and the flame was reflected on the white face and breast of the snowman, and made him appear quite ruddy. I can no longer stand it, he said. How well it suits her to put out her tongue. The night was long, but it did not appear so to the snowman, for he was standing there, deeply lost in his pleasant thoughts, which were so freezing that it creaked. In the morning, the window panes of the basement were covered with ice. The most beautiful ice flowers that one could wish for were upon them, but they concealed the stove. The ice on the window panes would not thaw. The snowman could not see the stove, which he imagined to be such a lovely woman. It groaned and creaked within him. It was the very weather to please a snowman, but he did not rejoice. How could he have been happy with this great longing for the stove? That is a dreadful disease for a snowman, said the dog. I suffered myself from it one day, but I have gotten over it. Away, away, he barked. We shall soon have a change in the weather, he added. The weather changed. It was beginning to thaw. The warmer it became, the more the snowman vanished away. He said nothing. He did not complain. That is the surest sign. One morning he broke down, and lo, in the place where he had stood, Something like a broomstick was sticking out of the ground, round which the boys had built him up. Well, now I understand why he had such a great longing, said the dog. I see there is an iron hook attached to the stick, which people used to clean the stoves with. The snowman had a stove scraper in his body. That has moved him so. Now all is over. Away, away. As soon as the winter was gone, away, away, barked the horse dog, but the girls in the house were singing. Time, green time, come out, we sing. Soon will come the gentle spring. Ye willow trees, your catkins don. The sun shines bright, and days roll on. Cuckoo and lark sing merrily too. We also will sing cuckoo, cuckoo. And nobody thought of the snowman. The end.